Okay, couple minutes to get people going in here. Waiting for folks to show up. I'm gonna make notes for myself, just so I can avoid uh, mistakes that I have to read. I don't want to redo stuff. I don't typically do this, but this page is a bit more complicated than usual. Because every single panel different, so every panel is going to require different scheme. Going to just try and avoid doing it up. Just let me see, real quick basic notes. Sunset for our first panel. We're going into autumn. We're doing winter plus alien. You can see like these little weird alien bulb plants showing up, and then even more alien. So lock that. I'll delete it one after I don't need it. Oh. Okay. Guess away we go, and hopefully we'll get some folks coming in here. So this is going to be following in from the previous pages. I haven't been able to do any more coloring since the stream last Tuesday night, when I was doing this page. So this page follows that. It's a little bit later, so kind of the same scene, but you see the sun peeking down here in the corner. It's starting to go down, so I want to, I don't want to go full blown red and pinks and oranges and stuff, which I really love to do for sunsets, because I do want it to carry over from the previous page some more. So do one of those where it's still dark, where it's blue but it's getting darker, and but still as you get kind of closer to the horizon, it grays out, and I'll introduce a little bit of pinks and purples. I'm gonna ignore the cloud that Gabe started, and I got a brush I want to try out that's brand new. I've never had I've just kind of recently uncovered it, and I think it'd be pretty cool to play with. So I hope so. I won't know till I try it because I've never used it. So too dark, I think. Getting darker, but not too dark yet. So, well, you just joined the chat. If you wouldn't mind, give a shout out, say hello. Of course, it may also be my wife. Hi, if it is. Okay, so I got the sun there. I'm going to implement a little bit of kind of red. I'm doing a gradient transparency. I'm using soft light this time. Just I want to add it. That's a little too much, actually. Oops. I'm going to remove these clouds here because it's not the effect I'm going for. That's one thing that I really like with digital coloring, that doing more interesting and cool skies. Nothing against drawing clouds, but it's a little bit easier to get dramatic. You're watching me do my old school kind of knockouts where I used to remove it from the line art, as opposed to the previous stuff I've been showing you with the color holds. Why am I doing it this way? Because I don't want to put on my layer or lines yet and start doing that. Just want to keep it fairly streamlined in my process right now, but I want to see kind of finished backgrounds in process. Like I want to know what's happening, so I need to do those knockouts that I would otherwise kind of save towards the end. So I got this cool brush here. Recently covered to a website or whatever. I forgot where. Internet, man, is full of cool stuff. But I'm gonna put my brush up to 100%. I'm actually gonna do this on a layer just so I can play with the color first. Too purple. That's not the right color. Be a little too. I think that's in the right tone. But what I'm kind of going for, you get kind of these dark clouds going through the sunset. So even I like this. I'll be able to manipulate my brush a little more. It's just working straight in here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and. Nope. It's got the whole brush, all the clouds. That's pretty volant. I like that. See, I can also scale it more in the likes of how I want. But yeah, if you join the chat, give me a shout. Let me know you're here. I like talking to people when I do this. Otherwise, I talk to myself and I feel like I'm crazy. Don't need my quick mask. Apparently, I found a shortcut. But I don't know what I did to do it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that kind of works for me. But yeah, I got my sky down, and what I'll end up doing, just like my previous pages, I'm going to end up doing like some god rays and the effects coming off the sun, gonna make it look really, really spectacular. And brush the texture bar. This is one of my favorite texture brushes I have. I don't know. I just really like this brush. Flows good. I like the way it lays down. I like the texture, obviously. The little brush. I feel like Bob Ross right now. You beat the dickens out of it. I can't do it with my finger. You know, I always beat the brush on this easel. My finger and my desk do not work well for emulating Bob Ross. It's all right. See, I should probably go maybe a bit darker in these. We'll see. We'll see. Because I go dark because you know the sun's right there. It's behind it, so it's blasting light. So it's going to be a bit harder to see. But I'm going to hit these edges with these selections I drew previously. But I want to that might get lightened up with a little more atmospheric perspective. But I got to remember, I'm also going to do those God rays effect on it, and so that'll bring it back up. So I want to go a little darker with those mountains, just due to where the light is. I put a little more. Bring in the benefit of drawing all those shapes previously. I can just kind of get in here. I want light there, but I don't want it to be nearly as prevalent as this hot, warm light from the sun. Once again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make a color hold on these. I really like my quick math thing. How has my technique changed over the years? Well, that's a good question. I use a lot of what I started learning out. Well, no, that's not true. When I first started learning on my own, I used I was mainly just kind of playing in layers because layers is are really easy to use and make everything super editable and changeable always. So that is that's how I actually really started. When I first got Photoshop, I just played with layers once it I learned about them. It took me a while to learn about them. A buddy of mine is actually, "Oh, bro, use layers." I'm like, "I don't know what that is." So started using layers, and that was pretty cool, and I liked it. And once I started working at Antarctic Press and was working as part of Guru Effects, they taught me about channels, and and I still use layers, but I save layers for effects, and channels have mostly become, I've got my line art channel right here. I save my flats on a channel, and then I'll save specific selections in other channels. And that was at first mostly for going easy on the computers because it was almost 20 years ago, or it was 20 years ago, and computers aren't nearly as powerful as they are now. And adding layers adds a lot more to your file size, which can bog down a computer if it doesn't have the power. So I rolled into channels, and then just from there it just became keyboard shortcuts. Like I use keyboard shortcuts all the time. That became a big, big, big kind of everything that I do is keyboard shortcuts, and that's and just stumble across like one thing I didn't used to do, because obviously, you can look at my layers palette in the bottom right. Uh, I mostly I color on the background, but one thing I've changed recently, as opposed to constantly coming in and selecting each, say I'm doing these trees, I want to color these trees. I'd come in and I'd start coloring, and that would be here on the background layer, like you see, and that's how I used to always do it. But at some point, I don't remember, a few years ago, I came to the realization uh, I could actually move what I have selected into a layer for itself. Uh, I'm on a PC, so I mean that's just Control J. If you see in the bottom right, I'll do it again. You see there's a so that what I had selection were these tree branches, and so now those tree branches are in a layer by itself. Benefits having flat, so I can just magic wand it. And what I'll do is then I'll preserve transparency, which is this little checkerboard on the palette, or the backslash question mark key. That turns it on and off. And what that lets me do is I can just color. I don't have to worry about selections or anything. It just lets me go. And that was not a big game changer, but it helped eliminate a little bit of a extra step in my process. Is so I'll sit here and I will work specifically on this selection layer that I just recently made, and I'll do all my base rendering, and get what I need done, you know, just real quick. And then once I'm finished with it, I'll then merge that layer back down to the background. But I still always have my flats channel, so whenever I need it, I can just go back and work on that spot. But it just kept me going because I keep isolating specific parts. So if I want to work on this branch in the past, to keep from doing everything, I'd have to deselect here, and I have to deselect all these different spots. Whereas isolating that into a layer while I work on it just save me a little bit extra steps and time. I mean, when I used to have interns at the old office, I'd keep trying to train them in shortcuts and how to get through stuff quicker, because so much of what we do in comics is time sensitive. And it sounds ludicrous, but I kind of came up with this mantra where it's seconds equal minutes, minutes equal hours, hours equal days, and when everything's on a deadline, seconds add up, especially with all the different stuff that you're doing. and all different selections that you're making constantly, that this just really kind of made things a heck of a lot easier for me, quicker. It's just a little minor change that, and that's kind of been my biggest aha in the last several years. So, but yeah, no, that's a good question. But everybody, and it's all going to change depending on the your own technique, whatever works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. That's the cool thing about Photoshop, is there's multiple ways to do everything. And that was one thing I really liked about having studio uh studio mates, was we were all be doing stuff, whether or not they're, we had several other colorists in the studio, or but even just the artists were jack of all trades. So I mean, they were just as capable, or even more so, in Photoshop than I was, and others. So I mean, we could always go in and be like, "Oh man, check what I found," and kind of share stuff with each other. You know, y- that that prompted a lot of growth. Having that camaraderie and instant kind of feedback, and just like, "Oh man, check this out," and sometimes they knew that already what you just discovered. It's like, "Oh man, why didn't you ever tell me?" And like, "Yeah, but check this out," and that would lead them to show you something else. So that's probably the only big thing I miss about working in a studio, is moments like that. That was a lot of fun. That's kind of when we all got to, you know geek out on craft, as opposed to just the inane banter we always had about Star Wars and Star Trek. All that we to this day will have that same conversation when we get together. It's both funny and sad. Just gonna the edges of these branches, like, hey, it's getting hit by that sun that's setting. The big cheese here is where the real emphasis is. So yeah, I remember when one of my first San Diego's Comic Cons I went to, I had the pleasure of meeting Chris Cox, who is one of the developers and programmers and creators for Photoshop, which is the program I use. And that was one thing that was always kind of fun for me when we'd go to San Diego. And every year I'd get to see Chris, and so we just kind of talk Photoshop and stuff. If he saw me brightness contrast like I just did, he would be mad at me. He's like, "You're not supposed to do that." And I'm like, "Well, it works, so I do it." And that's the funny thing. I forget. I think it was all about the color balance and the black levels, the K levels. So when it comes to print, but there's a lot more people better than me, and even not better than me, that are a little more anal retentive about color levels and stuff. I didn't get quite that far into it. I dipped my toe into it. At the end of the day, stuff prints well or doesn't print well, and there's only so much I have control of, and even when I can do everything right, it doesn't always print well. So, and after multiple bad print jobs that, because you could go to a comic store and look at the same book on the rack if they have multiple copies, and it'll each book will look slightly different if you a lot of times because if the printer starts running out of ink, colors will start shifting. My creator owned comic Sasquanaut or no Sky Sharks I put out. I remember when I got issue 5 and opened a box from the printer in China, and the cover of issue 5 is a sky, like the whole thing's a sky. The dude's like free falling parachuting through the sky, and it wasn't a super blue sky. It was kind of similar to this tone here, this kind of light blue, little bit of purple in it. And man, the printer, I guess they were running out of ink because every book in that box, it was a box of 100 comics. Every book was just slightly different in color on the cover, and it's just there's only so much you can control with print. So at a long time ago, I kind of stopped worrying about it a little. Maybe not enough. I don't know, but I decided not to kill myself over it. Least favorite part about coloring, probably the flats, just because it's just kind of tedious, which is why when I can, I try to hire out people to do it for me, so I can skip that part because the coloring part's a lot more fun to me than the flatting. But especially when you get a really dense page with lots and lots of stuff, I don't I don't particularly want to flat that, but you do what you got to. Okay, I want to play with some God rays because that part's always fun. And I can get to play with the new brushes some more that I want to play with. See, I think I might need to make these brushes. I don't know. I don't know if I got this because I got these cool brushes that I found that have been super, but they're all at an angle. They're not quite the radial I need, but I might be able to fake them a little bit. We're gonna try this. I don't know if this is gonna work. Not sure if this is gonna work, but that's pretty boss. Yeah. All right, that's pretty cool. See, I got a little sloppy and I didn't strain my glows. When you start doing special effects, it's kind of what I like to call instant effort. They can make stuff look pretty good pretty quick without doing too much. See, I do want to play with it because I need some God rays going this direction. But I don't want them to be ridiculous. Nah, I like that as is. That's fine. It's fine. Probably just pump this glow a little bit more. Kind of radioactive, man. That's Yeah, that'll work. That will work. And we're gonna go back to this is his forest throne that grew up out of the ground of previous pages. You see here on this page. So obviously I didn't really do a brown or flat brown, so now I gotta go in here and start kind of giving this sucker some life. Let me let me do I want maybe this rough just kind of want to break up the color. This won't be the final say so. Just want to there's lots of different hues and variations in colors out in nature, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for on this or in the vines here. And again, I've actually got my selections I previously drew uh, to kind of eliminate some work, and it's a dual light source. So I mean, I've got a stronger, more intense edge. Let's see, so that way, these parts of the arm rails and the edge of the throne that are going to be directed more towards the sun, I'm going to have those be brighter, make those pop. And I don't need. Oh, we'll just and a bit of this other stuff. I want to go back to my one of my texture brushes because I don't want it to just be flatness because I want these guys to look pretty gnarly and cool. This is probably going to shift a little more once I want to get him done and figured out because he's going to help kind of pull this bit together. But where is okay? So I'm going to go in and add a bit more shadows in here. Just going to brush them in. I'm just going to have him cast this big shadow here. Like most of that area is going to be dark. Most of these are kind of overlapping on top of each other, so they can be pushed back. Just kind of have this arm casting shadows over here too. And I've got another texture brush bring in. Oh, if this is gonna work. There. I think that looks a bit alright. Kind of mossy and stuff. It'll work. See here, I messed up my flat because did that as a hand, and that's actually part of the tree back here. Whoops. I'm actually just gonna kind of this. Okay. Since I'm basing most of that on these previous pages, I'm gonna eliminate just a touch of my guesswork here. Let me start my tones. I can do all those. Works. So a lot of this, what's happening on this page, not to give too much away, but essentially this page is supposed to be showcase the passage of time, and not just the seasons like I wrote on here, but it's years. So we're gonna starts kind of like where he was and where he is in this first panel. The first 3 pages. It's kind of into that. Then we get into this next panel. We're gonna go more autumn, kind of gold colors and reds. Basically, what's happening is Sasquanaut's kind of musing on his time in life and just enjoying his ruling of the forest. But he's been on these crazy space adventures, and he realizes maybe this isn't as awesome as it once was because now he's done and seeing all this incredible stuff. So he starts off, he's pretty happy. You can see his facial expressions where he's like, "Hey, I'm a happy guy. I'm home. I'm where I want to be." And then you know he's still happy, but he's a little less. You don't see a gap in his teeth like you do here. It's like, and then as time gets on, winter comes. A few years down, less happy. He's not smiling anymore. You see the plants are fading away, but even then, you start, instead of these bushes and stuff that you see in the mountains that were there, the mountains aren't the same. They're craggly, and you see these alien life pod plant things come up, and the more discontent he gets, the more he realizes that he's not here with Earth. He's seeing what's actually out here, and it's nothing with see. But I started putting in his streaks in his hair and beard, but he's getting older, so I actually stopped doing that because I'm really kind of considering by the time we get to the end, he's going to be really, really gray and just grizzled and desaturated. He's not going to be the bright brown and orange that he is to begin with, because he gets older, he gets you know less less enthralled with his current state. He realizes this isn't really what he wants. Or again, going back to my previously drawn selections and highlights. Again, I'm just going to use the work I've already done right now, just because figured it out once. I don't particularly need to figure it out again from scratch. See, that's teeth. Fix my channel there, so I got the flats correct. Actually, both these just as always, the goal is to kind of make him pop, but I also want it to be dramatic lighting. So that's why I've done this kind of secondary lighting. So his he's gonna have this sharp edge light that's just gonna pop off the screen, you know, and that's coming from the blazing setting sun over here. But then got again going back to my previously established work just so I don't have to figure everything out from scratch. See, no, that's not the right color. That's not what I want. I probably need to figure this one out. So I got him with secondary light. So I'm gonna go give my yeah, and I think I'm gonna pull probably from gray green, purpley green as the secondary. This is gonna be one of those pages that takes longer just because every single panel is different. So whereas fortunately the last few streams I managed to color the whole page during the stream. This isn't going to be one of those because tired, tired today, and it's going to require little more brain power than probably have in me right now. Finish, but we can put a good dent in it. That sucker. Oops, it's not what I wanted. Not to not to derail a little too much, but that's part of the reason I went in and did these pre-selections on all these pages because you can see even here in these every panel I've shifted the light source. I mean, you see it's got the edge light with the secondary. This one is more just kind of a overhead ambient light, you know, or directional. This one's more straight overhead, and this one we get back more into the edge light with the secondary, just to just to try and help differentiate each part of each panel and advance that story some more. And with especially like when he gets in these older parts, I'm trying to go gray or whatever. It'll be easier to make him go gray because I can do that highlight real strong, like up here in that first panel. I can do the strong highlight. And the others I can be a little more subdued, be a little lower contrast, a little more desaturated to get that aged look I want to accomplish. And that also comes in the from his younger self to these when he's got more wrinkles. There's a lot more lines in his face when he's older, whereas you know it's fairly all connected and it's not broken up. So little things like that will help create the illusion of the aging look. Hopefully, I'm really excited for this issue. I think this is going to be a really great looking issue. I've been looking forward to it and dreading it since I first wrote this issue because I knew it's going to be a really cool looking, but I know it's going to be really hard. But I think if I can just stick to it and pull and finish it, I think it'll be good for me. It'll be good for the story. So I'm looking forward to having it done. I'm not so much looking forward to doing it, if that makes sense. gonna go return to my white teeth because I want that to stand out. See, I think my trees are still a little too dark. They're blending too much with the throne here. I don't really want to mess with my rendering too much, but I'm gonna start ever so slightly. I'm gonna do a radial grad on transparency with screen just to put a little more ambient color. Dude, I'm kind of okay with this area. I think I'm good with that. This area where I'm butting up against button up against the forest throne. I probably need to just pump these edge lights on this even more. Probably, yeah. I think overall I'll probably pump the atmospherics just a touch more. Red. I'm gonna switch over to lighten as opposed to screen because I don't want to screw up the glow I already have. I just want to grow it. And I'm going real slight. That's 10%. Another 10. I think what I'm gonna do to deselect him, this foreground bit. I think once I have him deselected and I do a little bit more atmospherics, that'll wrap up this first pan. Get me where I need to. Probably should have used my wand. Oh well. I don't know if that would have been faster on it or not, but again, now it's just hitting the background only here. Put a little more dim, blue in the shadows. Bit of a forward, his arm forward. Just kind of a little bit of a cast shadow. Doesn't need to be too much, but got a little bit. Pump these just a touch more. A little too. Maybe I'll put a little green just to separate it out. Tree a little more. You can see I work at zoomed out pretty far usually because the monitor I use is once I'm zoomed out of it, this is pretty comparable to the size of a typical comic. I don't have a comic on my desk right now, do I? Yeah, yeah. So you know, just put up my screen. That's pretty much the print size it's going to be. It's actually a little bit bigger. So if I can live with where it looks here, how it's going, that'll be that'll be all right. You know, the more I get, I mean, I could come in, zoom in, and work on this stuff for hours and hours and just play and get lost, and most of that will never print. Like it's just physically impossible for a printer to replicate it. So that's not a good use of time. Like I mean, if you've got the time, you're just doing it as an exercise. Great. I mean, there is value in it. You can learn some things doing it, but ultimately, you'll be doing a lot of work. Really, nobody's ever going to see. I mean, technically, they could potentially see it if they buy a digital copy, like on Comixology or something like that, and can zoom in. I mean, you see a bunch of detail then, but your average comic viewer isn't going to do that. So defeats the purpose. We're where I better at my scripting where I could get my finalized dialogue done more or less in my script as opposed to doing more rewrites. I would probably try and get everything lettered first because if I could do that, then I would know when and where not to invest time because it'd be covered by a balloon. Because there's been multiple instances when I'm working on a book, not even mine, just general kind of freelance job. I'll do some element in the background and that looks really cool. And lo and behold, when it comes out and I see it, all the work I put in on thing I like really well gets covered by a word balloon, and then nobody sees it. That's a little heartbreaking. So the name of the game is know where to put your energy. If you see that, it just kind of makes his glows, his edge light a little more radioactive, pops him, makes him look good. Yeah, I like this page, which is why I end up doing more and more. Like if this were kind of another job, I would probably move on just for the sake of time and getting into the next thing. But this is mine, and I like this page, so I go give it that extra bit of love because I can and I want to. You can't always do that, so it's fun when you. Like I said, I think this will be a really special issue visually, especially. I like the story too, but the story was a good vehicle to do a lot of things I just kind of wanted to do, like color wise. Not so much wanted to do, wanted to see color wise. I still don't particularly want to color it, but I want to see it colored. If I could afford have somebody else do it and they could do what I see in my head, I would have done that. I would have done that, but that is so. What I've done there is I've colorized the black lines of the trees here, just to again help push them further back. I really should move on. That needs to be done. Okay, so panel one done. Where are we at? Hmm. It took me an hour to do that panel. The last couple pages I did like the whole page in 2 hours, so it's gonna take some time. Of course, I had a little bit better rhythm then. I've been splitting my attention between making graphics and doing stuff to get the Kickstarter prepared. It's launching in 2 weeks. I've been putting a lot of time into that, going over the lettering, which is looking really good. But yeah, I've not been coloring quite as much as I was with the last few weeks, so I don't think I have the same rhythm. It's part of why it's taken longer. You know, I may go straight up full Bob Ross, and I may just do a really bright yellow sky, like stupidly bright, just cause that way go. So I said autumn, so I want to do more browns and reds and oranges and yellows. Just kind of a base. Like I should probably go find a page I did before. Think about it. There's a page I colored for a different book where I did not something similar to what I think I'm wanting to do here. I might want to go into finding that at some point. I remember I really liked my bushes in that one. I don't remember what I did, but I do recall liking bushes. But yeah, this stinking leaf brush, man. This is I love this thing. Part of the tree. What helps inspire me? Oh, all kinds of stuff. I've got a folder full of lots of folders of just pictures, everything from other comic books, to photographs, to paintings, just all kinds of different stuff that, you know, once upon a time, 4chan had a board for those high resolution board, and they used to put all kinds of great photos and screenshots from games, and not just screenshots, but they do like concept art. It's all high resolution stuff, and it's just like, man, I used to go there and just download stuff all the time because it's just invaluable. And to this day, I'll go look at that and look find stuff for as inspiration. Like what do I want to do for this cover? If I don't have an idea already, I'll just go start flipping through my folders and just see if anything stands out. Be like, oh, I could do something like this, or maybe I could do this with that and do something else. And but yeah, it just comes from everywhere. I mean, it can be stuff I've seen in movies and stuff I've seen in games. Just outside walking around. You see whatever you see a reflection or just cool lighting, or you see the sun setting. And it's just like, oh man, let me get a picture of that and save that so I can try and do that in a page or a piece one day. Inspiration's kind of all around. Actually, just recently joined a Facebook group that the whole thing is about background paintings for animation, whether it be in video games or movies or whatever, or cartoons. And people are just posting either their own personal work or or just stuff they found and discover and love. And it's awesome. I mean, I got into it because somebody shared a thread that was a bunch of keyframe art from Into the Spider Verse, which that movie is just. I mean, that movie is probably one of the few perfect movies for me. I absolutely love that movie, and it is one of the most interesting visually I can ever even think of. Like that movie is just astounding. And somebody posted it was about 20 different images of keyframes of art from the movie, and man, it's just really cool. And then other people are like, hey, these are my backgrounds for this or that, and it's even simple stuff where it'll be a picture of a street corner and it'll be lit at different times of day. So it's the exact same shot but with three, four, five different lightings, and that's stunning, man. That's really cool. It's really helpful and inspiring. Like I love seeing that kind of stuff. So you know that is like video game art, and that kind of stuff is just really good. But yeah, concept art's concept art's a good place. But yeah, inspiration really just comes from anywhere and everywhere. That's a good question. There's no magic bullet. Finally made it before the last call. Well, hello, Essence. Who's this? So I know who I'm talking to as opposed to just Essence. Or are you just Essence? I don't know. But welcome. I'm glad you're here. Oh, it's Big Zach. Yeah, I've been wondering when you're going to show up, my friend. I've been wondering. How you doing, my friend? You doing all right? You can't complain. You could. You're not going to, but I know you could. I hope everybody in your house is doing all right, man. I'm looking forward to getting out of quarantine and just being able to meet up and hang out. You need more rum, do you? That's weird. I don't know what's going on. It's like he's missing an eye or something. It's only 9 o'clock, man. It feels late. I'm tired. It's only Tuesday too. My goodness. It's been a long week. Big Zach, did you go check out the new Streets of Rage game, bro? Dabbled a few minutes on Streets of Rage this last weekend. It's up on Game Pass, so I put in, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half on it. Pretty cool. Been in the books learning. What you learning? That's good, man. Actually, I just signed up for a digital painting course so I could learn some stuff here. I'm looking forward to getting into that. I've I don't feel I've been successful in the past with my digital painting attempts, and I'm hoping this will help me figure out what I've not been doing correctly and do it right. But thank you. I like the sun effect too. Yeah, man, the family's doing really good. Other than baby girl is exhausted because she's not napping or sleeping like she needs to, so she's a bit of a handful. She gets cranky, but so she can be hard to deal with at times. But no, she's good, man. We just had her. We just had her routine checkup with the doctor yesterday. And everything's good. Clean bit of health. Got more shots, which she really didn't like. She'd been doing really good with shots, but the last time at her 1 year checkup, that one didn't go too well, and she remembered that, I think, because she was not happy about any of this trip this time. But it also didn't help that she was tired. But yeah, they're all good. How's your family doing? And what are you learning? I want to know what your book learning on. You'll leave me hanging like that. The one thing I don't know about this Twitch stream or just live stream here, I have no idea what kind of lag there is. It feels like a long time when I say something and there's a response, but I don't know. It could always be somebody's busy, or it could just be that there's a big lag. I really don't know. It's awkward for me. Chris Allen. Yeah, Chris definitely knows his study material, man. He was always good, and then at one point he moved away from here back to Florida where he was from, and I was asking, "What are you gonna do there?" And he was like, "Practice." Like, I got all my study material, and came move back a couple years later after that, and whatever he did worked because he was even better than he was before he left. Watching on the PS4. Oh, the Twitch? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. Makes sense though, I guess, with all the video game stuff. Oh, that's cool, man. But yeah, we're just gonna keep trying to tweak these vines here. Force dynamic live drawing too. I don't think I've seen those. I think the last drawing books I bought were the Bone Hogarth, Burn Hogarth, the dynamic figure drawing, and the I think drapery and fabric. Both were both were really good. I mean, that dude's phenomenal. But yeah, you got those too. That's good. I might still have it. If you didn't have them, I'd probably offer them up to you. I should probably keep looking at them, and if I'm gonna keep drawing, but you know, it is what it is. But I've been trying to get stuff prepped for the Kickstarter and and put the finishing touches on issue 3 lettering. And I was making a printout of issue 3 so I could see it in hand and just not proof it on the computer, so I can get a physical copy and just kind of look through it. And my printer got all messed up, and I think I'm dead now with the printer. It jammed. I unjammed it. It jammed again. I unjammed it. It jammed again, and I unjammed it. And then it said it was still jammed. And I found another piece of paper and I unjammed it. And I've unjammed every aspect of it, but it's still registering an error. And I found like a big old mass of toner like clogged up into it too. And so I can't unjam it, and everything that I've been told to do through YouTube and troubleshooting isn't getting me anywhere. I'm less than thrilled about it. I think my printer knew I was considering cheating on it because I've been thinking about a new printer. So I want to get I wanted to get one that had one of those scanners on it and and uh and be able to print even oversized. But I think it knew I was thinking about it, so it broke. Explain what I'm doing in dummy terms so you can digest what I'm doing. I am coloring comic books on a computer. This is my stylus. This is my screen. That's what I color on. Is that simple enough, or do I need to go less? For those that might watch this later, I've known Zach a long time. We give each other grief all the time, so I'm not a total jerk, except to Zach. So what am I doing? I am coloring his forest throne, and I am trying to create volume, and mood, and establish settings. So this page, since as usual, buddy, you came late. This page, there's a long passing of time, so every panel is going to be different. First panel is obviously kind of the sun setting, and it ends the first 3 pages. This is page 4. First panel ends like the sequence of the first 3 pages. Panel 2, we're getting into autumn. So I've changed the lighting direction. Obviously, I'm going more autumn colors. Panel 3, you'll see it's getting more winter and desiccated, but you start seeing alien flora crop up. So as it goes on, the seasons are changing, but the world is actually becoming more alien as well. So it's going to start introducing more wacky colors, hopefully. You know, which is both fun, intimidating, and exciting. Fashionably late. Fashionably late's like minutes, bro. Not like where are we at? 2 hours, hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes. So don't give me that. This is using the lasso tool to just create another level of highlights and depth. Hi, Miss Deidre. How are you? Hope you're good. Thanks for joining the chat in the stream. Okay. Now this layer that just showed up, this is work I previously did. Uh, I went through all the pages of the book and kind of pre-rendered my light sources. Uh, that way, once I come in and actually start coloring, I don't have to worry so much about getting my light source down. I can just concentrate on what colors I want to use. When I work in this style, it just it helps me out. It makes things a little bit easier for me to wrap my head around. Put a little bit more that color in. I'm going to desaturate them a little bit. And that's how he comes to life. I just brush or my gradient tool, have my selection, and fill those up. The trick part of it, you always want to try and have a little bit of fall off in your color because it helps create a little more depth and shape. So the closer you are to your light source, the brighter you're going to be. Farther away, darker it is. I'm going to deselect so I can keep the selection on his arm. I want to bring some more like this a little bit brighter color. Help push his arm a little more forward from his body. As we get into the later panels, the gray in his hair will grow and he'll get much more older. That's pretty much it. From there, it's just throwing in more atmospherics, try and create more depth. Yes, I'm trying to avoid some of the foreground. Happy. every now and again your computer isn't as fast as you and it can jack up a selection, which what happened here? And that doesn't make okay. See, so right now I've just selected that area. I am just going to some light in the ground to help push that. But even then I want to add back into this part I didn't have before a little more. But even then, that puts direction. I know I'm gonna kind of bracket him with some neat light there. You try to do lighting that's fairly realistic, but you can take liberties, so don't want to be what you want to avoid is having all the elements lit from different directions. Like I don't want these mountains lit like the first panel because obviously they're lit from different directions. The tree lit from underneath and him from top, and the like. You want to try and keep consistent, but you can take some liberties. I love like this kind of bracketing with the light. Not super practical, but it helps bring your attention to Sasquanaut, and that's what you want. He is the focus. That's the job of the colorist when you're telling the story is to partly to draw attention and put focus where it needs to be. I don't think I'm gonna go and finish this next panel. I'll probably start it here just cause, but I don't think I'm gonna get too far into it. I think I'm probably gonna call it fairly shortly here. So I got this cool kind of cloudy shaped brush I like to use. So I want to go fairly gray and somber in this panel just because, you know, he himself is getting kind of depressed. But as you see, there's a little bit of the alien encroaching. So I think I'll try and just add little touches of like other colors, like a bit of pink, just just cause it's not too outlandish. I think if you're not looking for it, you can probably miss it. But I think with it being there, it's going to help sell that. Saturate these guys some more. See, this should be sky in here. I messed up my flats. Gotta keep an eye out because I can mess with your stuff, and that's totally my fault. So just fix it as you go. Can't believe that already. Okay. gonna put a little bit of base texture in this tree. He's got a partner over here. Where did I? Yeah, pre-established the lighting in these selections. So just turn that on so I can see where I need to light my tree from, so I don't do it from the wrong direction, since I apparently didn't do it initially with everything else. Gonna get the basics down for this tree right quick. And I want to keep it fairly cool, so I'm gonna have a blue gray to start with. Yeah, these trees look dead, so I don't. I want to keep them pretty dark. That'll helps kind of sell the mood. See on my selections on that one. Probably just worry about finishing off these trees, and then I'll call it for the stream tonight. So we'll make the trees look good, especially if that's what I'm ending on. Oh, I just realized I never turned on the Spotify music for the background, so it wouldn't be so quiet when I was talking. My apologies. I don't particularly like that music anyway. Not very good, but it does help fill the void. Giving a little more shape and volume. The lines in the tree kind of give me an indication of how my shape should go. I want to complement the lines. I try to go against the lines and do something else. That's when it looks bad. So working with lines, get good looking art. The color and the lines need to be cooperative and working together to get to do the final job. Well, I think that's going to call it for tonight. Good progress. I had hoped I would finish the page tonight in the stream, but I've got at least another hour and a half to go on it. That's all right. We'll get it figured out. But maybe I can do that during the week in another stream during the day or something. But thanks for hanging out. Bye.